Welcome to Homesteading Roots, a podcast by Ozarks Homesteading, where we dig into the roots of some of my favorite people who are making a difference in their communities and beyond. We share about events we think you shouldn't miss and explore the faith that keeps it all going. I hope you'll enjoy listening. Let's dig in. Hey, welcome to Homesteading Roots podcast. And we are just so glad you're here today. And I actually took a break for a couple weeks because we just finished with our ladies homesteading camp, which was so awesome and so rewarding. And we have a whole bunch of new best friends after that kind of a intimate setting for a whole week of learning and growing and just spending 24 hours together, and it was just so awesome. And we already have people signed up for next year because it's just been a lot of people sharing that. And we actually had one day where we did a garden tour and we had lunch and we had yes honey for our drinks at our lunch. And today I have Heather Mincer with me, who is the founder, owner, and mover and shaker of the Yes Honey brand sodas. And I have just got to tell you, I'm so glad that you're here, and that you're my friend, and that that you created this brand. It's been a journey, hasn't it?
It has. I actually was thinking back when I was thinking about the podcast to when we first met and we bonded over, actually it was on the phone that we talked on the phone and we bonded over being from Buffalo, New York.
Right.
Because
Oh
you're
my gosh, I
originally
forget about
from
that all the
Buffalo,
time.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. But that was years. You
We
came here
both
quite
grew
some
up
time
in the
ago.
kind of the same region of the
Yeah.
country, and
Yeah.
we both landed in the Ozarks
Yeah.
and
Which is
eventually.
crazy.
So we have things to talk to when we see each other. Um and yeah, and when she's going there or I'm going there, we're like, okay, bring me back this or that.
Yeah. The Zweigel's hot
Some
dogs, the red
Salem,
hot or
some
the white
Salem's hot
hot, the
dogs. You did bring
Salem's.
me
That's
back
what she
some one
liked.
time.
I did. And I don't remember what the other thing was, but I feel like I brought you back something else.
And
I don't
yeah,
remember.
some
There's
Kimball
some unique
rolls and
things.
some Weber's mustard and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yes. If you
Boss
know, you know.
sauce.
We're
Yeah,
on.
that's right.
You know, you know. And yes, and then we actually met as you were a vendor at the Ozarks Homesteading Expo back in maybe 2020.
22,
Was it
I think, was
2022?
my first year. I think so. When we had Naked Chicks pasture and we were bringing the pasture raised chicken there. Yeah, we brought a whole freezer
And
and the whole thing.
you brought a freezer, and we're selling chicks, naked chicks, which were
Yep, chicken,
processed
yeah,
chickens.
processed meat. Yep, in the freezer, whole birds and cuts and all the things. So yeah, it was definitely an adventure. It was such a great time. That was our first homesteading expo to be at ever in our lives. We had never
That was
been
the
to
hot
one.
one, wasn't it? Was that the hot
It
year?
was, I feel like it's hot every
It
year,
was the
but
hot
yes,
year.
that year it was very hot.
It
Yes,
was
I
like
would
the 105 year.
yeah, yes. So
Yeah,
those of
it's
us
been
that had
great ever
trans
since.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. We've had warm days and then the rain in the
Yeah, that was
mornings.
the hot year. Thank you for coming back because
Yeah.
there's some people that are never coming back after that.
Oh,
There
goodness.
were, I think God said, though, after that, God said, I am so sorry about that, Cheryl. Let's do a do-over. And it's been like in the
Yes.
70s ever since, and even
Yeah.
record colds in the morning. So we
Yes.
had
I
to buy
do remember
sweatshirts
coming
last
in.
year.
Yep, sweatshirts, and thankful for coffee right next to us so it keeps us nice and warm. And then as the
Yeah,
sun comes
right.
out, they can come over for yes, honey, for a cold drink.
Oh my gosh, that is right.
It has worked out. Yes.
So
Yes.
so you were just doing chickens at that time,
Yes.
and after that, I think it was the very next year you had your Yes Honey sodas, isn't that right? Or they weren't
It
called Yes
was.
Honeys yet, were they? No, they weren't.
No, they were still called Naked. They were still under the Naked Chicks brand because I just really wanted to bring a healthier beverage to market, to like the farmers market or to festivals. And so I was like, well, the people in this area know Naked Chicks Pasture, so I'll just name it Naked Chicks Pasture 100% honey sweetened soda. That'll be fine. But that was pretty much a mouthful. And like so many people were like, well, does it have chicken in it? Like, what's the correlation between chicken? And I was like, that's a great question. And then I had developed the website also, and it was nakedchickspasture.com. And a lot of people were just innocently searching and leaving off the pasture. And so they were finding things that were
Not
not our
good.
sodas. No. So once people started telling me that, because I never thought about that. I thought com is a great, website that's easy to do, but I just didn't think about people shortening things, which we tend to do. So I knew pretty early on, like when people started coming to events and I would see them multiple times and they'd be like, I can't find your stuff. So I needed to rebrand. And so we took the whole next year, and I think I launched just before the expo of 24 under Yes Honey.
Hmm.
And so that made so much more sense. It just kind of, I don't want to say it blew up the brand, but it definitely helped for brand awareness, and people it understood it. They were like, oh, this has honey. It's
Right.
just, it makes sense
Right. Yes, I love it. I love the Yes Honey brand. And you can play off of that. So it's
with
so
so
fun
many things.
to play.
Yes. Yes. We say all kinds of ways to say yes, honey, or, a lot of people will ask us a yes or no question and we're like, yes, honey.
Mhm.
And
Right.
sometimes it takes people a moment to catch on, but then they usually laugh. And
And you
so it's a good connector with people.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job with that. But
Thank you.
tell me a little bit about how that started. How come you developed that product to start with? You went from raising pasture raised chickens to this became more of your focus in life.
Yes. It kind of took over the chickens, in all honesty, like with sales and everything. Before even moving here, so we moved to the Ozarks in 2022 at the very beginning in January. And even before that, we had been on more of a health journey, just trying to clean up our food. And we didn't use any processed or very little processed sugars, just switching over to honey and maple syrup. And I had been making my husband a drink that was a tea that I brewed, and then I sweetened it with honey. And so one thing led to another. I was connected with a formulator, because when you go from making a gallon or two for home to making 100 gallons of something, the commercialization of that changes, and you have to figure out ways to make it safe and to last a long time in the can. And so um, having that person that was very experienced in that was really necessary. So we came up with these flavors. And again, I just wanted to bring them to the farmer's market because I thought, I mean, that's where I was going every weekend, taking the chicken. And I thought this would be a really great product to have on the table, because the table could be kind of boring sometimes with just having a cooler in the back. And I had a couple little things that I would make, like vanillas and things like that, chapsticks. So anybody who has been to the Homesteading Expo that knew my booth back when, we had those more homemade type things. And again, it wasn't super exciting. And so when I started out with the drinks, and I just immediately, it made sense to me just to sample it for people. So we had these little half-ounce cups, and we would just call people over. If they came in, we'd ask them if they would want a sample, and people just loved that. And they were like, this is just sweetened with honey. I haven't drank sodas in years because of the ingredients. And so it just made a lot of sense for a lot of people. Parents felt comfortable allowing their children to have it, because we know most sodas have caramel color, or they have artificial dyes, flavors, just
High
a lot
fructose
of
corn
junk.
syrup.
Oh, which is the worst. And so that is something that we are free of all of those artificial dyes. We have just sweetened with honey. And we're also, actually, one thing that did happen that's very synonymous with the Ozarks is alpha gal. And so
Yes.
ended up being diagnosed, both my son and I, with alpha gal around the end of 2022, and finding products that were safe to eat was really challenging. And so when I did the rebrand into Yes Honey, I was like, I know that other people are having this same issue of trying to find a product and, checking every ingredient and then not being sure. And so we labeled the product as alpha gal friendly, and that has been a really great help to a lot of people that do have alpha gal.
Well, and if you have that too, I think maybe people become more aware if they hadn't before about
Yeah,
what's in their food. They become label
definitely.
readers and you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
which makes you more aware of everything, not even alpha gal um, related, trigger foods, but you're now that you're reading labels, you're seeing other things and
Yes.
become.
Well, and it's interesting that the the large brands are trying to swap things out for us, and we're not even realizing that. I was looking at pickles the other day. My husband was craving some pickles, and so I went and got pickles, and it has high fructose corn syrup in it.
I
And
know.
I
I
was like,
know. We
"What?
are just so
Why?
appalled by that. We just went to the
What?
store and started picking up all the pickles and going, can you believe you can't find a pickle
I
with no high
know.
fructose corn syrup in it?
Why? Why? I don't
There.
understand. I don't understand." And so I think there's
Because
been this
it's cheaper.
wave. I know, but like what is it replacing? I don't even think there was sugar in it to begin with. So
They're sweet
it's just,
pickles. Yeah. Even our dill pickles. I don't know.
I don't know. Like
The
I said, I think there's a
jelly
wave.
and everything.
Yes, yes,
Jelly's the other
jams and,
thing. Jams and
well, even
jellies.
honey. Even
And
honey on the shelves, a lot of times
it's
it
not
has
really
high
honey.
fructose corn syrup. No, it's not. But people just look at honey, they look at the front, it says honey, and they're like, okay. And they
Yeah,
don't,
that's
who would
right.
think, I mean, I think years ago, now we'd think about it, but who would have thought years ago to look at the back of a jar of honey to make sure that the only ingredient was honey?
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
people are
yeah.
starting to consider that more, just looking at their ingredients, making sure that it's safe, whether they have allergies or not. People just want better products. They want things like as if it's homemade. Because the reality is you can't have homemade all of the time unless you just stay home all the time.
Yeah.
And, for you and I, we're traveling a lot. And, I take a lot of food with me places. I know you probably do
Right.
that
Yep.
too. But there's just times where I get the hangry. Have you ever had that where you're hungry and angry at the same time? And it's like, I've got to get something.
Yeah. And that's that's a it's not the same food grandma used to make. It's not the same food we
Mm-mm.
make at our homes. And
No.
but we need to be. We need
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
we need to be reading those labels, and more people need
Absolutely.
to be reading those labels. And I was saying in a different podcast that it's funny that I see more people in the store reading labels than I
Yes.
used to see,
Yeah.
and I used to
Which
be
is
the
a
only
good thing.
weirdo there, standing there reading the labels and then putting it back nicely, putting it back up on the shelf. But
I
you see
know.
more people there. I'm like, okay, that's so encouraging. You're my people. Reading the
Yes,
labels.
definitely.
But so that was so when you started doing that for farmers markets, and then you started making a little bit a bigger volume and had to go with a more of a manufacturer like situation.
Yes.
What did that do for your brand? And did you just like were you surprised at the um how much people demanded that you had to go to that next level with that? I mean, what were you thinking there? Were you like, oh, do I want to do this?
Yeah, so thankfully I started out at a co-manufacturing facility as far as producing the drinks. So what I had made, we switched over to the co-manufacturing facility for their canning. And so I remember our first order was like, thankfully they at that time they were newer and they had very low order minimums. And so I think our first order was like maybe 25 cases. And so looking back on that now, where it's like, I, we go through, so, I mean, we go through, I, I couldn't even tell you right now, pallets and pallets and pallets. Um, and so it was very huge. Actually, when the first year that I was at Ozark Homesteading with the drinks in 2023, a local health food store had come to the booth and said, we would really be interested in carrying the product in our store. And I think
Oh,
that
I'm
was,
so glad to hear that.
yes. And I think that that was like the first time where I was like, really? Like in a store? And they were like, yeah, that, this would be great. And they said, do you have your insurance? Do you have UPCs, like the little barcodes on the side? And I was like, no, I don't have any of that. So it sent me on a journey of learning how to do that because I had no idea. I was a homeschool mom. So I stayed home with my kids pretty much their whole lives. I had little things that I did on the side, baking cakes or working at a nursing home or something like that, just to make extra money. But my main focus was raising my children and homeschooling them. And so selling food on a commercial level was not in my repertoire.
Yeah.
So I had to learn all of that. And I remember the first cans that we sent out for this store and in another store. Um, we had already printed our labels for the cans. And so I was like, well, I don't have the money to print a whole new set of labels. So I just went to Walmart and got like the address labels. And then I printed our UPC codes on
And
the
stuck
address
them on
labels
there.
and stuck them on every can that was
That
going into
is
those
great.
stores. And it was, I was like, what else do I do? And they were fine with it. I mean,
Yeah,
it worked out. And so then the next round, I was able to add the UPC to the label. And so it's like, it's just grown each time, like you have something new that you have to do, there's these growing pains.
right.
And you look back at that time, I would think, oh my gosh, this is so much and I have so much to learn and there's just so much that goes into this. And then now you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. But at the time
Yes,
it
yes,
seemed
yes.
so challenging.
Yeah. Well,
And then the things that we have ahead are going to be that same type of situation where we're like, well, you're in the thick of it and you're like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, how am I going to figure this out? And then you work through it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I am not doing that again. But other times you're like, okay, I have that skill. I can put that in my toolbox for later and it won't be so hard next time. Actually,
right.
right, I don't know if the people listening can't see it, but behind me on my wall here is I have the progression of our
Oh,
cans.
yes, I see that.
So
Is that what that is?
our yes, it may be hard to see for you, but it's our very first cans and the labels, and then it just kind of goes down the line. And my son and daughter were in my office here the other day, and they were like, is is this the progression of the Kansas? This is what this used to look like? And I was like, yeah. They were, wow, it's so crazy to be able to see it like that. Because at that time with the first ones, I just thought, oh my gosh, these are amazing with the design. And now I look at it and I was like, wow, okay. I'm surprised
Well,
anybody bought these.
well, I want you to know I have some of your very first cans because
Do
I
you?
saved them. Well, they're stashed in the back because my grandkids find my Yes Honey every time I get Yes Honey. And I send them to my grandson in Texas because he likes them,
Yep.
um, and now I can get them on Azure, and
Yes.
so I get them there. And but anyway, I have some of the very first ones, and um, I stashed them back so that I really need to like display them, but I'm afraid they'll, you know, even though they look like they're important, they would probably take them and drink them. So
True, true, true.
hiding
Yes.
them. But I need to pull them out. and put a special thing on them. Do not drink these. They're going to be worth a lot of money one day, right?
That's right. They might be. They might
A
be.
collector's item, right? But yes, I
Absolutely.
have some of
That
those.
would be so
And it's
fun.
so fun to hear. I was so glad for you to say that a store came up to you at the expo, because when we
Yes.
started that, um, that was, I know we have speakers and we have all this learning things, but it started out as a resource fair where I wanted people to be able to find people like you,
Yeah.
products and services that I love and that I believe in. I think are great products, and I wanted people to come and go, look at these. You need to buy some of this, And
Yes.
so I'm so glad to hear that. It helps me keep going when I when
Oh,
things are rough,
yeah.
when I hear about things.
Yes. Well, and I too, as a vendor there, appreciate the other vendors because, we usually have some time to walk around and you can go and find other people that are, like you said, on the same page as you. And like I found a pottery guy that I really like his pottery. There's people that do homeopathy, that, that have plants that make salves, just all of those things that you can then support those people throughout the year because most of them have websites or ways to contact them. And so instead of, and I know I'm in a lot of my products in a lot of grocery stores, but I most of the vendors are generally just maybe selling out of their home or they have a little store. And so it really means a lot for them, for somebody
Right.
to support them throughout the year
Yes, it
and
does.
reach out and be like, hey, I found you at the Ozarks Homesteading Expo. Do you have any more of that salve? Or did you, can you make more
Yeah.
pottery or whatever the case may be? Beef or pork, people are selling that there as well. So it's nice to have those connections because, too, I mean, we had just moved down here. And so I think there's so many people that are moving into this area or
Still.
considering moving into this area. And so to come to the expo and to be able to find their people and know, well, I've just moved down here and I need a source for pasture raised chicken. And I would love a source for feed, like Peterson's feed comes. And so there's all of these different people that you can make a connection with at one location,
Right. And
which
you can meet
I
them
think it
in
just
person
really helps. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
rather than online. But so tell me how, like, so so you've grown a lot since then. We'll talk about that a little bit, but how do you have to, like, talk to God about all this? Sometimes, and go, okay, were you leading me here? Or, is this really, you know,
Happening? Is this really happening? Is this really my life? Yes. I often say that God and I are on a tandem bike and God is at the front pedaling and I am just doing my best to keep up and the pedals are slapping
love
me in the
that.
feet and the legs.
I love that.
Because he's just right at the forefront of everything. And I, he gives us talents and abilities, but without him, these things are not possible. I mean, I would have never in a million years thought that I would be somebody that was building a brand that, hopefully would become a national brand and be a better for you product. So, yeah, I mean, just praying every day and seeking his wisdom and, going to scripture to help make decisions is something that I have to do all of the time,
Yeah.
because there's
And
a,
you
there's a lot of things that I don't know. The interesting thing that has happened is that God has brought me so many people to help me along the way, and so many of them, I mean, there's been unbelievers too, which God uses everybody, but there's been so many believers that he's put into my life or to our lives that have had skills that were necessary to help me grow the business at that time. And so I feel like I've just been surrounded by skilled people that love the Lord and are able to give me biblical advice as I'm making decisions to move the business forward.
That's
And
right.
it blows me away. I mean, the things that I've been allowed to do and the people that I've been allowed to meet, and I'll just give a like, I mean, just meeting Joel Sallet
Yeah.
for me
Well,
was huge.
I told him, you need to go over there and
I
see this. I brought him
I remember at
a
Okie
can of
Homestead.
your
Well,
Yes
at
Honey
yours,
and said, you need to go over there and see this, taste this.
Yes. And so it's like things like that that, you there's these heroes that you have or people that you look up to, right? That have accomplished great things. And even just being able to meet you and spend time with you and become your friend
Yeah.
is just been an amazing thing and part of what God has given me with this business. We meet, you and I, Joel, everybody meet a lot of people, and it's such a blessing to be able to talk to so many people. And some you make more personal connections with, and some you don't. It's one time experience or multiple. It's just like, hey, how are you? But to be able to have those deeper relationships, or just being able, like I was saying, to meet Joel. I met him the very first year that I was there, and it was like a fangirl moment. And then each year I've been able to see him again. And last year we got to go meet with him when we were in Virginia at the HOA. And so through this business, God has given me the opportunity to meet some of these people and to really glean advice and knowledge from, as well as build a friendship. And
Right,
so
and you've
I
helped
really
people
thankful.
because you're in his store now. Your Yes Honeys are in his
Yes.
farm store, which
Yep.
helps other people that come to his store for good, products and uh,
Yes.
for his poultry, but also get to get some Yes Honeys as well as that. So,
Yes. Yeah, which has also helped to grow my business, obviously, because he has many customers that are going for tours or just coming on the farm for whatever events that they have. And so they then become also my customers. And there's store owners that are going to his store that will then reach out to say, hey, we would like to carry Yes Honey in our store. And so it's the snowball effect of being here and then all of these people seeing it, and then you know just continuing to spread. And I think
and
that
that's
that's
yeah, that's a great place to
how it
be.
happens.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
great place to be too because those are your people. I mean, you get random people and you get people all over the country that love your
Yes.
product, but I think sometimes your homesteading type people may have a different appreciation for your product, in a different mindset, in a different way. And, they just got finished last weekend with HOA had a big event at Polyphase too. So I know there were hundreds of
Yes.
people there of those
Yeah.
types of people that probably got exposed to or probably got to buy or whatever. I don't know what they did with it. Hopefully you had enough there. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
we've
may have
been
to
having
restock
that.
now after last weekend. Hopefully.
Yes, we had that happen. They had a big tour, and the buyer reached out to me right after and was like, she was like, we just sold out of everything. And they had just ordered just like 2 weeks prior. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's a great experience. And just to have him think of us and say, hey, we want to bring that in the store, and reach out, and you know, just other ways to collaborate as well. And
Right.
um it's been a really great opportunity. One I'm very, very thankful for. And yes, the homesteading community is our community. That's what we came down here to do. Our life has changed a little bit now with
Yeah.
Yes Honey,
Yeah.
so we're not able to raise as many animals as we were before, but that's still our heart, and we love farming and animals and homesteading.
That's okay. And and you're in um while we're talking about that, I just wanted to say that Azure Standard is
Yes.
our sponsor for this podcast. And,
Oh,
they
awesome.
are, an independent, family owned distributor of groceries, healthy groceries, non GMO, organic, bulk. We just love Azure and we just love all of their products. And you can, stay up till 4 a.m. going on their website or ordering things, right? And
It's
and
true.
and now and we love them and they're just a beautiful wonderful family. So if you're not familiar with that, with Azure Standard, you can go to azurestandard.com. You could also put in I'll put that in the notes, but a promo code for Ozark 15 if you want to get a discount there. So but
And that'll go towards Yes Honey too, because they can
and you
search
have
Yes
Yes
Honey.
Honey there at Azure now because that's what I
Yes.
got. And I get that in my every order now because I don't see you enough. So I have to
Yeah.
order from you.
Well, another interesting story is that is where I first met David and Kim
Spencer.
is at Homesteading Expo. I don't know if I think it was the first year, but then every year I've gotten to see them there too. But that was the door that opened in order to get into Azure, just to meet them and show them the product and have them take it back. So lots of great connections that I was able to make through the expo that you put on. So thank
Yeah,
you.
that's great. That's great. And that's a great
Yes.
place to be. Those are your people too,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yes. I love Azure. We had been ordering from Azure for years prior, so it was really a joy to be able to get into their stores and be able to be available to their customers.
Yeah. And you, so now you're in where? You're in a lot of states.
Yes, we are in about 30 states across the country and I think about 430 some stores,
That is
which is
so
really
awesome.
exciting. We do have some major grocery stores like Hy-Vee, excuse me, and then we have a lot of beekeeping stores, homesteading stores, farm stores, like Azure type stores like that, Fresh Times. So just kind of around the country, healthier stores where you go to buy your better for you products. And I say the farm stores and the homesteading stores and beekeeping stores, we just really people really love Yes Honey because they know the value that it has, with not having the corn syrup and not having the dyes and all of that stuff.
Right.
Because, at the end of the day, everybody likes their little bubbly. They like their little sweet drink, whatever it may be, whether it's a coffee or something. And so to be able to have an option that doesn't have the corn syrup or the stevia, is, I think, makes people happy.
Yeah, it makes me happy. I haven't
Yeah.
drank soda in years and years and years,
Yep.
and but I drink this, and not all the time. Even actually, I like the peach one.
Yes,
This
that's your
is the
fave.
apple, the sweet apple, but I like the peach that has the other the ashwagandha in it and the
Yep.
other vitamins.
L-theanine.
Hmm.
Yep, yep, and the green tea gets your little caffeine
Yes, green
buzz.
tea. Yeah,
Yep.
because this one's caffeine free, but the
Yes.
one with the peach and the berry are have the little bit of extra kick. So I like those. Like that's my afternoon choice
Yep, your pick
instead of
me up.
coffee.
Well, it's nice because with the ashwagandha and the L-theanine in it, it doesn't leave you with like jitters. So you still get your little boost of energy, your little mood boost, but you're not like shaking.
Yeah. So you have so that's a lot you have going on, and I know you've had some miracle, well, tragedy happened and then a miracle happened as well. And can you want to
Yeah.
talk about that just a little bit? And
Yeah. Yeah, I think you and I were talking about this a little beforehand, is that a lot of times we look at people, especially people that are maybe more well known. No, I'm not saying that I'm well known, but just
you're well known,
brands, or like people
right?
that run the Homesteading Expo or people that are behind whatever the thing is that you really enjoy. And you we all have a tendency to think that their life is amazing and that, it's just wonderful. And I am thankful. I mean, I do have an amazing life. God has blessed us. But yes, in February, my husband was involved in a really serious motorcycle accident. And I was in Texas at the time when I got the call. And so that I was supposed to be launching in Sprouts and having some other meetings with some stores. And I was only in Texas one day when I got the call. And so we had to turn around. My social media manager was with me. And thankfully, she stayed with me and drove through the night, so that we could get back here to Missouri to be with him, because he had broken some vertebrae in his neck and his back, and he had broken 9 ribs and had a sheared vein, that was affecting, potentially allowing him. This vein that was sheared was a potential for stroke threat, which is still a continued thing that we have to be thinking about. But it was pretty serious, and he was going right into surgery. And I didn't realize how bad it was when we were driving, because I had gotten to talk to the doctor briefly, but they were like, he's going into surgery. And so I was like,
Right.
okay. And so it wasn't until I got here the next morning, that I really understood how bad it was. And so it has been a journey. It has been challenging because, he was really the main in several ways. He was the main breadwinner in our home, and it allowed me to do Yes Honey on a full-time basis. And just then having to stop all of my travel and him, his business, we ended up having to close his business, because he's just not in a physical state to be able to continue that. So, but through it, God did some really miraculous things. So the vertebrae in his neck, the spinal cord was almost like an S. And it had moved over 50%. And the doctors had said that whenever we've seen that, the person has been paralyzed. And so multiple times when we were in the hospital, whenever doctors would come in, they would say, "Do you realize how lucky you are to not be paralyzed?" And it it was just very surreal. I don't even know how else to explain it, that you just, your husband could have been paralyzed or dead. He was found
Right.
75 feet from his motorcycle. The original impact had thrown the helmet and his boots off, which was pretty crazy. So, he had a traumatic brain injury or concussion. So there were a lot of things that he had to work on and is still having to work on. He was in the hospital for a while. He's home now. He is up and walking around. He's able to do things. He can drive. He still has the C-collar on, which is not his favorite, I will
Well,
say.
I imagine.
But he has a really great attitude about it. I mean, there's definitely days where it's discouraging, but he tries to do what he can. And then when he's reached that limit, he knows that he takes the time to rest and sit down. And, it's hard. I mean, I know if it was me, I would think I would be just going crazy to not be able to just get up and go and do whatever I want whenever I
Right.
want. And I think for a man also it's more challenging. So prayers for him. If
We'll
anybody
definitely
thinks
do
to
that.
add him. So, you know, hopefully I think through this, one of the things that it helped me to realize is to slow down. I don't have to do everything all at once. I don't have to grow this brand overnight. And you get kind of in your routine of things. And sometimes God allows that routine to be broken so that you can come back and be like, okay, Lord, I've been kind of like on autopilot here, not really thinking about you. Or, I mean, that's honestly, I mean, I think that's where I was at, is that I
Mhm.
was just
Just
focused
busy.
on getting it done, busy. I'm trying to do my work during the day, plus travel, like all of the things. And, my husband was extremely gracious with just being on board with that. And, sometimes having to have cereal for supper or making food himself or whatever it is, you know,
On your own.
and yeah, and so um now our life looks very different, and that's okay, right? This is where we are. This is what God has chosen for us. So to be able to be a blessing to other people through that, just to encourage you that if, some things like this happen, it's just okay, take a breath, slow down, kind of recenter back to what God wants you to do, and then just keep moving forward one step at a time. And you might take two steps back, you might take two steps forward.
Right.
Every day is a little bit different. And um, just trying to put him at the center of everything is very helpful. And I'm not great at it. I struggle with that sometimes, just getting in the busyness of life. And I
Right.
think as homesteaders too, like so many people get in the busyness of life, you've got to feed the kids, feed the family, make the food, go feed the animals. Just like there's so
Yep.
many things to be done on a farm.
Yeah. Well, we sometimes have to just look at what we're doing and see our priorities too, because
Yes.
some people have different things going on, and you just never know what is going on and behind, again, behind the scenes of people's background. So I just wanted you, yeah, I wanted you to be able to share that because um, you're awesome, and we're just
Oh,
so
thank
excited
you.
about where you have come with this. And every time I see you're in a new place or in Hawaii or something, I'm like, oh, that is so cool. Of course, we knew her when she was just
Yeah.
she was just a little,
Yes,
a little
yes.
chicken plucker
Yeah.
person,
Yeah, a little chicken raiser.
raiser.
I had the head chick at Naked Chicks pasture. Yeah. So I still keep that title head chick. I think it's funny. Some
Your
people
head
don't
chick,
like
yeah,
it,
you
but
are head chick
I
anyway.
think it's fun. Yes.
But we
Yeah.
are, so anyway, we got to go, but we are, I'm just so glad to, I'm just glad to get to visit with you. That's why I wanted you on here.
I
I want to see
know.
you,
I
I'm going to get to see you. So it was
I
nice to
know.
talk to you and share your story. And I didn't know if everybody knows where, that came from. And we just want more people to know about Yes Honey and
Thank you.
and yes honey, and my grandkids insist on it, like, you're gonna get yes honey on your Azure order. And so
And then your answer is yes, honey. Of
yes
course.
honey. Well, we got to share it with all of our ladies at the ladies homesteading camp too,
Yes.
and I don't know that there were a couple that knew of it that had been to the expo, but the ones that
Okay.
hadn't didn't know about it. So it was great to share.
That's
So
awesome. I
yeah,
appreciate that. I appreciate your support. And I really feel like the Ozarks Homesteading Expo is where we got our start.
so
And that,
I'm glad to
really
hear
is
that.
what pushed us forward. Yeah.
But we will keep in touch, and we'll see you somewhere, and
Yeah, I'm
soon, I'm
sure.
sure. And you have a wonderful week. And let's have people can go. How can people get Yes Honey? They can get it at your website.
Yep. Yes, Honey
And
brand, brand.com. They can search for Azure, search for it at Azure at Yes Honey. And they can see what stores we're in on our website as well. At the store locator, maybe there's a store near you. You could go grab one and try it out.
okay, we need to get some over here closer to me too. I'm going to work on that
I know.
for you.
I know. I know. We'll work on it.
Well, thank you,
Thank you,
Heather.
Cheryl.
Good to
I
talk to
appreciate
you.
it. Good to talk to you too.
You too.
Bye bye.